Back as promised for the next chapter, chapter 8, The Beak Squeaks. Poor Perilous, it's tough being 11. I should know. I'm only 12 myself, of course. In human years, that's about, well, a little bit more. So moving on swiftly. Poor Perilous. First of all, he's been mistaken for a slave by the Emperor of Rome, no less. And then he falls out of the sky, goes swimming in the atrium pool, and completely ruins Patter's dinner party. Now, he's in Chrissy's study, and he is getting such a telling off. The study door was firmly shut, and I could hear Chrysius working himself up into a rage, but I couldn't make out exactly what he was saying. That was a trifle annoying, so I paddled over to the study door and leaned my feathered ear hole against it. But Peter, how was I to know the peasant was the emperor? That's cheating, well, Perilous. You know perfectly well that you never, ever pretend to be a slave. It's so common. But the emperor can pretend to be a peasant, Perilous shouted back, which was pretty brave of him. It's different for an emperor, Perilous. Emperors can do anything they like. Besides, you are my son. I have friends in high places. If they knew you'd been pretending to be a slave, I'd never live it down. I thought nodding my beak. Friends in high places, eh? I'm only a lowly raven, and I've got lots of friends in high places. Trees mostly. Rock. There's another one. What a cracker. But back to the door. Or rather, ear to the door. You behave abominably, Perilous. And at dinner too. What on earth were you doing? Hanging upside down from the window? Looking like some awful bit of roadkill that that wretched raven of yours might have brought in. It was hideous. What was he going on about? Roadkill. I've been saving that squirrel for weeks, if you don't mind, and it was very tasty. Thank you very much. I only wanted to see the Emperor, I heard Perilous mutter. By this time, I could hear Chrysius pacing up and down the room, and I really wanted to find out what was going on, so I poked my beak beneath the door, trying to see what was happening. Now then, things I must tell you. Us birds have very clever necks that can twist in any direction. In fact, we can turn our heads upside down, which is very useful when you're trying to see beneath something low below, like the bottom of a door. However, I have to admit that my honker is on the larger side of big, and unfortunately it got wedged beneath it. I tugged and I tugged, but I couldn't get free. I've been trapped by my own beak. This was insane, not to mention embarrassing. At this point, I was upside down with my claws planted firmly against the door above me, and my wings flapping about uselessly like bits of old wrapping paper, and me tugging away and making muffled squeaks and squawks. Go to your room, Chrysius bellowed to Perilous. I don't want to set eyes on you all day. And next time I bring an emperor into this house, you better not behave like that again, or you'll be out on the street with no home at all. Go on, get your room. I heard Perilous padding my way. Help! Any moment now. He tried to open the door, and there's me with my hooter still jammed under it. I'd be scraped to bits, dragged beyond deadness. All-powerful Diana, goddess of all creatures, save me! The door was yanked inwards. My duke! Crock bag! Perilous stared down at me as I struggled to my feet. Ungainly, that was the word for it. I was completely lopsided, owing to my neck having been twerked and twisted beyond neck ability. My duke, I repeated. Your duke? Yeah, my duke. It wasn't my fault. I couldn't speak properly. It felt as if my hooter had been squeezed until a top bit had got stuck to the bottom bit and I could barely move it at all. Get that blasted raven out of my office, yelled Chrysius. I think he's hurt his deek, Patter. Jupiter, save me from this madhouse, Chrysius yelled. But more worryingly, he was now eyeing me with increasing suspicion. He was trying to work out how this situation had come about. You know, that awful feeling you have in your stomach when you think you're about to be found out? That was what I had, rumbling below. Cropbag, Chrysius began. Were you listening at the door? I pulled my wings together, gave my feathers a quick preen, and slowly raised my head until I was peering at Chrysius with one bright and beady eye. No, I said. It wasn't a very good no, but it came out as I sort of half croak, half squeak, what you might call a squawk. Chrysius frowned. So, what were you doing down there on the ground with your beak stuck under the door then? Pecking, I said. Aha, see, I was going to talk my way out of this one. I'm not just clever, I am super raven. My beak was going to loosen up at last. Yes, I went on, I was pecking for food. I was walking this way and just happened to be strolling past when I spotted some escaped crumbs of the biscuit variety, so to which I am quite partial to, as you know. So I bent down and started pecking, following the trail of crumbs, as it were. And the next thing I knew, my beak was stuck beneath the door, and Perilous opened it, freeing my beak. And for that, I thank you both. And now, if you don't mind, I shall go and wash all the floor dust off my feathers. Good morning. How'd you like that then? I just walked away, a free raven, as innocent as a raven could be, which is not a lot. Am I clever or am I clever? I am super raven. Go on, give us a biscuit. Anyhow, it left Perilous in a bit of a pickle. Chrysius seemed determined to keep the boy shut away in his room, staring across the road. As was big sis Hysteria. You know why she was staring, don't you? Scorcher was out in the courtyard, sorting all his charioteer bits and pieces and getting ready for his big chance to race with the green team. Hysteria's heart was full of dreamy love for the young charioteer. Ah, sweet. And, of course, it's Perilous' dream too, and I don't mean he wants to marry Scorcher, but he does want to be a charioteer. Well, we all have our dreams, don't we? Mine are mostly about biscuits and sitting down. What do you mean, birds don't sit down? That's exactly the point. You humans can't fly, no matter how much you flap your puny little featherless arms. But flying is what you often dream about, and like you lot, birds can sit down, so that's what we dream about, sitting down in armchairs. Anyhow, Perilous wants to be a charioteer, and you'd think there was nothing wrong with that, but Chrysius, oh no. Being a charioteer isn't good enough for Patter. Patter's got his dreams. Chrysius sees his son following in his footsteps and becoming boss of the Imperial Mint, like him. It's a very important high-up job. That's why he's got such a big villa and so many slaves. But there's a problem, see? People in high-up jobs mostly like to be with other people in high-up jobs. When you're one of the high-ups, you start feeling special, like you're above everyone else because they're not as high up as you are. I'll tell you what though, none of the humans can get up as high as me because I can fly. Crack. I crack myself up. I am just so clever sometimes. Carvus, Brainius, Giganticus, that's me. Anyhow, charioteers are definitely not high ups, even though some of them earn fantastic amounts of money. You ask Chrysius and he will tell you that more than half the charioteers here in Rome are actually slaves, or used to be slaves until they were freed, definitely not high ups. Now Chrysius, he's not a bad dad and he's not a bad man either. He looks after his slaves. He always frees them after they've been with him for 10 years, and some of them choose to carry on working for him. Mad as bananas, across the road, he used to be one of Chrysius' slaves. Chrysius helps his slaves get educated and find good jobs, but that's as far as it goes. They'll always be slaves as far as Chrysius is concerned. Do you think high up Chrysius wants his son Perillus to become a charioteer? Big no. But Perillus is only 11 and boys will be boys, so perhaps he'll grow out of his dream. On the other hand, or should I say the other wing, I haven't grown out of mine. I still dream about sitting in my armchair. Crap, get over it. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. Can't wait for the next one. Enjoy.